Markets had an extremely volatile week last week. Let's take a quick stock of how markets closed on Friday and how Asian markets have started off on Monday, which is today, as well as how the stock futures are looking in early trade today. Well, US stocks tumbled on Friday, along with, of course, the global sell-off. The Dow and the S&P closed lower for a third straight week. For last week, the Dow was down 1/3% in trade on Friday. The S&P 500 was down 1.9%. It's down 8% from its record close a month or so back. The Nasdaq is also down over 2.5% on Friday. Is down 7.6% for last week and 14% since its November highs. So when we look at it, there's been quite a correction in markets over the last week or so, especially. US stock futures, though, are looking in the green in early trade this week. When we look at the Dow futures, it's up over 0.5%. The S&P 500 too up like 0.75% broadly. The Nasdaq is up around 0.8% in early trade. The futures, of course. When we look at how Europe closed, well, European markets closed sharply lower as well on Friday. The DAX was down 1.95%. The FTSE was down 1.2%. The CAC 40 was down 1/3%, and the Stock 600 was down 1.85%. When we look at those declines, those are sharp declines which the indices have seen on Friday. Well, Asia Pacific indices too track their global peers. The Nikkei was down, as well as the Shanghai was down 0.9%. The Hang Seng held on to some, was flattish, was up just 5 basis points. So flattish, absolutely flat was where the Hang Seng was. The ESX 200 was down 2.25%, and the Kospi 2 was down exactly 1% in trade on Friday. So that didn't look good on Friday either. When we look at the SGX Nifty, it's down around 0.8% or 0.75% in early trade today. So even today morning looks like negative cues for Asian indices, including other indices. When we look at the Nikkei as well as the ASX 200, it's down almost 0.5% in early trade today. The Shanghai is holding on to 0.1% of losses, while the Hang Seng and the Kospi are both down over 1% in early trade today. In fact, the Kospi is down 1.75% in early trade today. So not really good or positive cues globally from markets. Mind you, one key decision that's going to happen this week is going to be the FOMC rate decision that's going to happen. Of course, initial jobless claims also to come through, but the FOMC rate decision is what markets are going to be watchful for. I will quickly move on to commodities before moving to interest rates. Of course, commodities, oil slipped on Friday. Oil had gained, it was at almost $87 a barrel during the week, and that slip will bring some relief, especially to emerging markets and oil importers, including India. When we look at oil, it's climbed, though, despite the fall on Friday. It's climbed for a 5th straight week, and that's largely, of course, due to supply concerns. Oil is at the moment in early trade Monday at just below that $86 a barrel mark. When we look at gold, gold too climbed for a second consecutive week. Good news for gold as well. So gold was at $1831 an ounce and currently is at $1833 an ounce in early trade today. Well, the dollar index, which was at 95.65, is also in the same region at the moment. It's at around 95.7 or so. So around a 5 bip gain for the dollar index as we speak. The US 10-year Treasury yields are at 1.783% in early trade today. That's going to be an important metric to watch out for this week as the FOMC takes its rate decision. Bitcoin, though, has fallen sharply. It's almost at 35,000 US dollars, but it's corrected a bit. It's up around 2% since, and it's at around 35,800 US dollars. Bitcoin is another thing that we need to watch out for. It's fallen from $66,000 to around $35,000. That's almost over 60%. Almost it's at 60% of what the $66,000 price was a month or two back. So That's how global markets are shaping up in early trade today.